human.
And boom!
Common man, no show prep, no solid plan. Spins a yarn, begins a tale. The esoteric approach won't fail. Tune in, it's time for Common Man. Common man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Oh, boy. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
Welcome back to the spotlight, young man.
Well, I read the USA Today and I read the New York Times, and I read those both every day. And I listen to music. I wouldn't really. I mean, it wouldn't do me any good to listen to talk shows, because what's great about America, everybody has an opinion. You know what I mean? But what's also great about America, you don't have to listen to them, and that's the great part.
Scat right X, scat right X.
What was that out there we saw? Now what do you think? What do you think of that?
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I always love that one.
You're breaking up, Bob.
You're breaking up.
What are you doing?
And that's ridiculous.
We're the state of hockey, and I think that proves it, so.
Let's go.
Yes! Border battle.
I've seen enough out of Cousins, Paul. Put him on ice.
I'm going to say something controversial.
That's interesting.
Jet lag disadvantage.
That's interesting.
A dog with a note in his mouth should be able to sell those ratings.
That's interesting.
Nuts and bolts, we got screwed.
That's interesting.
Touchdown! Vikings!
Quarterback quandary.
That's interesting.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
Well, greetings, good afternoon, and ack to you and yours. I'm the common man, Dan Cole, East Tennessee, and as I used to say back in the olden days, I'm Dan Cole with this update here on The Fan. Updates at the top and bottom of every hour, breaking news as it happens, and then I would always throw in the cheap shot, or when one of our listeners say, hey, you knuckleheads over there, didn't you hear that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah got fired? I'm the common man, Dan Cole, here on KFAN, and we'd go to commercial break. We used to do 2 updates each and every hour, and we used to have sound bites included. You know what you would, if you were back in the olden days running the board for a show, now you'd have a producer in there too. There'd be 2 of you. That was in the days when we were making money hand over fist, and there would be a board op / sidekick / sports update guy, and then there would be a producer. You would be doing 2 sports updates every hour at the top and the bottom, and they were like 3 minutes. And you'd have this, you'd have a stack of carts. Do you even know what a cart is? Were you in the carts days?
Yeah, like when you go to a grocery store or Target and it's on 4 wheels.
Yes.
Usually they're kind of wobbly and doesn't really ever go straight, but you can just put items in there so you don't have to carry it all.
Our sound bite, and why is it that those wheels, all 4, never go in the same direction? I might add that to Flop, Sweat, and Tears. More on that later. Meat Sauce was brilliant, by the way. Closed circuit to Meat Sauce. He's going to have to start closing again. I couldn't follow him. I mean, the crowd liked me, and I got laughs, but they were puttying his hand out at Rochester.
They were knee slapping out there today?
They laughed you laughed so hard your side ached, your heart went pity-pat watching Felix the cat. So you'd have, the carts were like the old 8-track tapes, and they would have a sound bite on it. We had now everything is so, as you know, I mean, you can pull up a sound bite on the computer. Before it's all digital now. Before we had none of that digital stuff. And I wrote a new sports update for every single update. Though I will tell you, if the news didn't change toward the end, I got a little lazy. Whatever I did at 3:00, I might recycle at 5:30. But so I would finish the update, and then I would start handwriting on a piece of paper because I had no computer in front of me. Plus, I'm not a good typer. And so while Chad Brewer are doing their show, I'm writing down, Minnesota Twins will be taking on the Washington Center. And it wasn't just like all you have to do now is just feign interest. There's nothing else for you to do. There's no sports updates.
That is a challenge, though, for me.
Well, wait, hold on. Give yourself a shot, would you please? Yeah, it is indeed a challenge for you. So yeah, so we enjoyed it. I want to thank first of all, thanks for the Eagles Club for having us, and I can cross off another club where they said I'd never work. 90% of the people in the audience were stunned I was there because they thought, well, sure, you can work, River City Extreme in Monticello. You can take your lame act to New Hope Cinema Grill, Bogart's in Apple Valley. You can work Grandma's in Duluth, and you can work over at the Mermaid in Mounds View. Sure, they'll have you even up in Fargo at the Sanctuary. And guess what? They'll book you at the legendary Cato Ballroom in Mankato, but you'll never, ever work the Eagles Club in Rochester. Well, guess what? I got the last laugh. And Meat Sauce, Larry Manila guy was really good. So was Meat Sauce. I was fine. They enjoyed it. But when Meat Sauce is on a roll, I would say you've never seen Meat Sauce do his comedy, Tennessee. I would say it's a combination, if you wanted to ask me what's it like, sort of a combination of Dave Chappelle, little Howie Mandel, and maybe, I don't know if you've heard of a comic named Dave Attell. He's kind of a combination of those three. Quick. All right, wait, no, he's not quick. Irreverent. Well, he's not really irreverent either. He's Meat Sauce. So we had a really good time. We thank the people for having us there and all the people. I came up with a great idea, Tennessee. I'm a marketing guy. So Meat Sauce and I have been doing this for a long time now. We're trying to increase the amount of money we earn, right? We're trying to, profit and loss. We're trying to get above the margin and try to get to the profit area. So we make T-shirts, swag, like everybody does, right? You go to a rock concert, they're selling T-shirts. They sell them for like $50 or $60 a piece. We don't do that. But we've gone through several different iterations of T-shirts. Well, we still have a bunch that we never sold out from the beginning to the middle of the end tour. That's like 2 tours ago. Probably got 100 of those T-shirts left, right? Mediums, larges, extra large, right? And and that was my fault on the design on that. I decided, you know what the drama masks look like, where you have the mask that's smiling and the mask that's crying? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
So I decided to have Barry, the art guy, draw Meat Sauce on one of them and me on the other. I'm the one crying. Meat Sauce is the one that's laughing. Brilliant. And it's really nice. It's not his. He did a great job on it, but it doesn't grab people like the newest one does, where they actually This Time We Mean It tour. It's the Over Tour Part 3, This Time We Mean It. And that's got really lifelike caricatures, and those fly off the shelves. So to sell the other ones, that's what we did. Buy one of the really cool ones for $30, and you can buy one of the other ones for $5.
Brilliant!
And people were doing they
sure,
did it.
Yeah. What's the difference between $30 and $35?
Right, yeah. And so then you tell me, now you're basically getting a T-shirt for just $17.50. And the other one's fine. The older one is 100% cotton. The newer T-shirts that almost got, I don't know, does it have it rayon or a little acrylic in them, whatever that is, that they're a little shinier and softer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Those are really nice. This is high quality stuff we're selling at these shows. So, we just had a great time, and we're so glad that so many people showed up, and we'll be moving on from there. There is plenty to get to. We're not going to spin wheel a topic, but there is plenty to get to today. You just sent me I don't even know if these people, we've talked about this before, when people send out a tweet, a so-called insiders, where they go, I think the Wolves might be cutting a deal here. And then it has all these names and stuff. And is this guy just making it up, sagging, clicks? Or is click sagging and he needs more? I don't know. But we have that to get to. It's big game week. We got Wild, we got Wolves, we got a little of this, a little of that, with the emphasis on the lat. We'll break now. We also, this might be the most important part of the hour, an opportunity to win some money. Tend to be the National Cash Contest. What you got?
Yeah, the fan wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our National Cash Contest. Enter the keyword happy at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is happy. Enter now at KFAN.com. That one teacher who believed in us. Show your gratitude with Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. Nominate a public school teacher to win $5,000 for their classroom. This week, we want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Schultz, who's a special education teacher at Valley View Elementary School. Nominate a teacher to thank today at iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
Couple 13-14 pastime comment. He is Tennessee. Mark Rosen will join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We'll be starting at 1 tomorrow because, of course, it's the Niko Medved show. Head coach of the Minnesota Golden Gopher men's basketball team will be here at 12 noon. Time now for Peek at the Poiple, brought to you by our pals over at Affordable Electric. You know that Minnesota winters do not mess around, and neither do electrical problems. If you have flickering lights, your breakers are tripping out, man. Outlets have stopped working. Sort of like me. Don't wait until it's an emergency. Affordable Electric keeps Twin Cities homes safe, warm, and powered up all winter long. All day long. Licensed, local, and trusted. Call Affordable Electric today. 612-331-VOLT. 612-331-VOLT, or visit affordable-electric.com. Affordable-electric.com. They're shockingly affordable. Oh, yes, sir. So the Athletic did everybody's been doing analysis, insightful, investigative pieces ever since the Vikings announced Friday, just before we got on the air Friday, that Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, after a 4-year run as general manager of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings, was being relieved of his duties. And we talked quite a bit about it on Friday, and I'm sure this won't be the end of it. For those of you that aren't aware, Rob Brzezinski, capologist extraordinaire, has been with the Vikings since late 90s. I think I read it was 1999. He will, in an interim basis, take over the responsibilities of Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. I hope he doesn't just walk in the same footsteps and trade down 25 spots. Hope he, maybe stays up where he is and moves up in the draft. But anyway, he will take over, and then they will, after the draft, they will do a. And by the way, they'll do a thorough search for a new general manager. Though Sir Mark Wilf on Friday during the news conference that you heard on this radio station during the Common Man program, if you were with us, said that Brzezinski could even be considered for the position because he's been doing all this kind of stuff in the National Football League for a long, long time. The athletics piece was very insightful, and the thing I found most, and I'm sure people that are regular listeners to the program knew I'd have to sink my teeth into this. This is a couple of paragraphs from the story. The next summer offered more evidence that Adolfo-Mensah's approached the work-life component of the role differently from many of his NFL peers. Following the birth of his first child, the general manager left for paternity leave, missing about 2 weeks of training camp meetings and practices and working remotely during the stretch. Word of his time away from the team traveled quickly, like wildfire, around the league. Among some rival executives and coaches, it was met with disbelief. In an NFL culture where many players, coaches, and executives proudly acknowledge missing the births of their children, taking time away to care for a newborn and support a partner remains uncommon. Then in parentheses, just this week, New Bills head coach Joe Brady openly shared that he missed the birth of one of his children and found out after a game that the baby had arrived. Joe Brady. Boy, bet he's proud. I was there for the game. I was there for my team. The Vikings were publicly supportive of Adolfo-Mensa's time away. He made a commitment to his family well before the Vikings hired him. That NFL standard wasn't going to affect that commitment. I think anybody who listens to this show knows I'm all on Kwesi's side on that one. Hey, what's the general manager do during training camp anyways? I've been there. Tend to be you and I've been at training camp. We've seen Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa there. He walks around with his hands in his pocket like this and just kind of looks around at the field like this. He doesn't do anything.
No.
There's nothing for the general manager.
He's not self-scouting his own team during that time.
He's not.
No.
It's like, and that there were his peers around the country they were astounded by it. How do you do that? And of course, you know me, I had to go. I like to get a feel for what, the public is thinking. So you go to the message boards. My faith in humanity has been restored, at least some. Because I would bet 4 out of 5 of the responses were all on Kwesi's side, saying, look, there's things that are more important than that. Then there was the ones that were doing the old, it's big money, this is important, you got to be there for your team. One guy was actually saying, well, you know what? When I have had kids, I've worked harder because I know I need the money because I got another mouth to feed. You're probably making $50,000 a year. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa is making $1 million a year. He's got plenty of money. Money's not his issue right now. It's being there for his wife and his newborn child. 2 weeks doesn't seem that bad. Matter of fact, I'd have given him more time away. It's like
we also don't know anything about their situation. Like, wife might have had complications, right? Like, we don't know anything about it. It's private.
And even if there weren't complications,
I agree.
My point is it's like he apparently attended Zoom meetings, right? He's a phone call away. It's called a telephone, just so you don't know this. So let's say you needed to get a hold of Kwesi. You pick up the cell phone. He's probably in your contacts, and you hit speed dial, and you go, Kwesi, we got to do something about this. And then he would tell you what to. It's so preposterous. It's one of the things I'm going to say I hate about the NFL because it really doesn't bother me that much. But one of the things I dislike about it is the idea that, look, you don't understand. This is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days. It's just entertainment. It's just there's no decisions made during that 2-week period by Kwesi Adolfo or input or whatever it is that can't be done over a Zoom or a telephone call. It's so preposterous.
Especially for his job.
Well, that's it, yeah. I mean, look, I get it. For instance, I guess I would, let's say old Sam Darnold has an arm, E-I-E-I-O, with a tutty here and a pick six there. If his wife was pregnant and she's about to give birth during the big game, I guess you got to consider going to the big game. Or what I would do is I would have her get a C-section.
Can't miss opening day.
You can't miss opening day. So I would ever get a C-section. So that's
what we're fighting against, though. The people out there that think opening day baseball is so big that you should get a C-section before the season starts because you have to be there for opening day.
Yeah.
There's that thinking out there.
Lieber was very vocal this morning, saying missing the birth of your child is a common practice. Well, yeah, it is, but that doesn't mean it's right. I'm sure Lieber's one of those guys that look, radio is important. For me to be on these radio airwaves, well, it's important. It's an important job. It's every bit as important as a general manager. Me to this radio station is every bit as important to a general manager to a football team. As ever important as Joe Flacco was to the Baltimore Ravens. You can nominate me for PST, but it's true. I took time off to be with my wife and child. I didn't do 2 weeks. I don't even remember how many days I took, but I don't remember what day of the week Deuce and baby brother Peter were born, but I took probably about a week off. That's what you do. If you're a father, that's what you do. If you're a husband and a father, you take time off. None of it's that big of a deal. It's just the National Football. Those are the people that are putting more importance into football than they really should. You just got to get a grip. I just, and I know I'm going to get, as I go to the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line, I'll get people that want to chide me about it, because much of our audience is sports. Their whole life is just sports, and they do think it's important for him to be there. I think it's the most preposterous thing ever. So there are plenty of things that you can question about Kwesi.
You don't need to go down that route.
Yeah, I don't think that's one of them.
It does show you the culture of the NFL, though.
Yeah.
That, it's just buzzing around the league that he's, even 2 years afterwards, that he actually did that.
Yeah, they're just stunned by it, and that's all.
But his entire job, he's not a X's and O's guy.
No.
He's an analytics guy. So he's not, there's nothing in training camp where he needs to be on the field.
I can't think.
Scouting these players out to see who, he ain't making the cuts. The coaches are telling him who they want to cut.
Matter of fact,
his job's to talk to agents and talk to other teams.
As a matter of fact, I'd want him out of the way. You don't need to be on the football field. It's sort of like, it's like an owner that gets in. Like, it would be like, for instance, am I making this up? Did Spielman used to go on the football field in shorts with a whistle around his neck, or am I making that up? I don't know. I might be making that up. But guys have done that. It's like, no, that's not your job, man. So anyway. Several other parts of that. It was done by, I think the piece was Alec, and then I think it was co-authored. The Rossini gal was a part of that too. We'll take a look at some more of that as this day goes on. Many other topics to get to as well. We'll take a short break. We'll come back. Peek at the Purple, brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric for all of your electrical needs. 612-331-VOLT or affordable-electric.com. They're shockingly affordable.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFM program? We'll make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Wow, man. What's this one called? Haight-Ashbury Days?
Red Faded Void.
That's sort of like Haight-Ashbury Days. I told one of my Haight-Ashbury Days stories. I added some new material, by the way, to one of my Haight-Ashbury Days stories at Flop, Sweat, and Tears. I got to rework the entire act. Not the entire act. Of the hour I have, 10 minutes if it's funny, 9 minutes if it's fun. But I'm going to go on a writing binge here. Of course, I've been promising that for about 10 years. But you know what? You know who my comedy idol is? Meat Sauce. That's who I look up to. So I'm going to try to be more like Meat Sauce. Tenneby, do you remember, when did Kevin O'Connell sign his extension? Was that pretty close to right after the season ended?
Yeah.
So was it before free agency and before?
I think so.
Yeah, and before the draft? Because I think that's important to the conversation here and to why we're at where we're at as far as looking for a new general manager, the quarterback situation, the money our salary cap situation. We're in salary cap heck, from what I understand. Because I think you and I have talked about this. We both have it from pretty good sources that O'Connell, this is alleged, I don't know, because I'm just going by people that I trust, people that they follow the Vikings much more closely than I do. They have conversations with people that are in the know. And that one of the things that Kwesi said, Kevin said is, well, if I'm going to resign, I want to have more say in personnel decisions, right? And then he signed an extension. The reason I say that is because I still can't figure out who had the final say and who made the decision that we're not going to pay Sam Darnold. This, from part of that, Alec Lewis, Diane. Is it Diane or Diana? Do you know Rossini?
I think it's Diana Rossini.
Diana Rossini. This paragraph says, an accounting of the contributing factors to this decision begins with the 2025 quarterback plan. The Vikings declined to re-sign Darnold, who loved Minnesota. Even at the time, many within the organization believed he was an ideal fit for O'Connell's complex, vertical passing-based system. One league source said he believed there was a time at which Darnold was open to staying in Minnesota for less money, but that the organization ultimately weighed Darnold's value against its investment in J.J. McCarthy, whom the Vikings had selected in the first round of the 2024 draft. Darnold apparently loved Minnesota. Many in the organization believed he was an ideal fit for O'Connell's system. And there was a league source that says Darnold was open to staying in Minnesota for less money, but then they had to weigh the pros and the cons. And they decided to go in another direction. And somebody else, Tenneby, that you know, they don't work with the Vikings, but they work closely. And I asked them recently, I said, do you know who made the final decision on this? And he said, I honestly can't tell you. That's what he said. I honestly cannot tell you. Because I don't know. And the reason I bring up when did O'Connell resign? Because I think it is important to know who's making all these decisions. Was that Kwesi who said, no, we've drafted McCarthy, we're not going to resign Darnold? Or because O'Connell wanted to have more say in personnel decisions, did he say, no, we're not signing? I don't think we should sign Darnold. I think we need to move on to J.J. McCarthy. Because it's obvious to anybody that's been watching now, it was a mistake to go the way they did. Now, again, if McCarthy ends up becoming a brilliant quarterback and becomes a generational type player, or doesn't even have to go that far, if he just ends up being a starting quarterback, a franchise quarterback for the Vikings, I guess all is right with the world, right? We can say it's water under the bridge. But still, you took a season last year in which you were coming off the 14-3 season and your window was open. And then all of a sudden you let it, I don't know if it's slam shut now, but there's certainly a lot of work to do there. So I wished I knew who that was. Story goes on to say, Kwesi said at the end of this season that the information we had on McCarthy was good, but it was admittedly incomplete in a small sample. The comment, though, is at odds with concerns expressed by the team sources about McCarthy's readiness dating back to last spring. Torn meniscus in his right knee, which McCarthy suffered in August of 2024 and forced him to miss the entire rookie season, had been an immense challenge mentally, and many team sources questioned his ability to lead an organization that would have high expectations after that 14-3 season. The Vikings thought they could hedge their bet on McCarthy's youth and progress by paying the premium for Daniel Jones. This is already well documented, whom they strategically signed late in 2024. Instead, Jones signed with the Colts. That created an opportunity to pursue future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers on a minimal contract, an idea many executives, coaches, and even key players support.
Yeah.
Executives, coaches, and players. Who are the executives? Is that ownership? Is that Rob Brzezinski is an executive? Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah was an executive. I don't know how many more executives. Assistant GM. I don't know how many of these people are there. Coaches. Head coach, offensive coordinator. We have one by name, though I think we all kind of figure that, it's Kwesi or O'Connell's the guy calling the plays. Flores have something to do with it. There's more on that in other pieces I've been reading that maybe Flores was none too happy with the way Kwesi was operating. But that's just rumor and innuendo. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's asked Flores. I don't think they have. I've not heard anything, and I don't know that. And who are these key players? You saw what JJ said, didn't you?
Yes. I was going to say, I'm guessing he's one of the key players based on his comments that we saw today.
He said, and I'll pull up the exact comment. Maybe you have it.
I can give it to you, yeah.
I mean, I have it somewhere on my phone, but then I got to get out of this. Well, it's a lot of work. This would be like, with so much to do today just on my phone, if my wife had a child, I couldn't take time off to be with her because I've got to get through this segment. This is important stuff we're talking about right now.
This is from ESPN.com. The Vikings, blah, 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 blah. But Justin Jefferson can't help but wonder if things would have been different had quarterback Sam Darnold been under center instead of off-injured J.J. McCarthy. Jefferson told USA Today Sports, quote, "Everyone knows the difficulty of the quarterback position this year, how we were dealt it. But having a quarterback that already had a season under his belt with us, knew the plays, knew the playbook, knew the players, throwing to me, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, all these guys, I definitely feel like we would have done better."
He goes on to say later in another piece I read that this isn't a slight towards McCarthy either. Because McCarthy doesn't make it. They were just asking, would they have been better off? He says, well, yeah, I think everybody thought that, including myself. I mean, that's why I said, how do you let a franchise quarterback leave the building when that's what you've been trying to find? Every team's trying to find.
Well, I don't think the offense could have been worse.
Well, it certainly couldn't have. And what I like about that is because part of the comeback to those of us that thought they should have signed Darnold or re-signed Darnold or at least taken a year on a team-friendly contract with Rodgers was, well, those quarterbacks wouldn't have been any better behind that offensive line. Well, your guy, Justin Jefferson, Jets, the guy we all love and think can do no wrong and knows everything, he says we would have been better off. So you don't have to take it from me. And by the way, I've played the game before. Do you see Jason Kidd's quotes? Have you heard about Jason Kidd? We'll get to that later. Bitter. The media's on him, and he's throwing F-bombs around to him, and he goes, I played the game. You didn't. It's so good. But anyway, in the end, the Vikings opted against that route, thinking that they'd be better off assessing McCarthy's talent early in his rookie contract. The Vikings assessed the potential fit of veterans Joe Flacco and Ryan Tannehill, who wanted a starter level contract, according to league sources.
How'd that work out for him?
Yeah, correct. The Vikings traded for Howell, and then, of course, we went to Wentz. It says, even this week, one team source brought up the subject again, saying, I would still like to know who made the final decision not to sign Rodgers. I still don't know. What I do know is it affected a lot of livelihoods. What did you and I say, Tenenby, when the Rodgers rumors were spreading? Let's get him.
Let's sign him.
Let's sign him. One was a selfish reason. It'd be so much fun for us.
Yeah.
Every day we could do didn't we for a while? Yeah, we were doing Mayday in Green Bay.
Yes.
We were doing a daily bit when Rodgers left and was with the Jets. It was so much fun.
Rodgers here would have helped prop up our sagging ratings.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It would have been so good. Plus, what if he's got one more year? I just like the idea of lightning striking twice in the same play. It was almost...
And then you get the delicious factor because he's a former Packer.
Yes. Well, it's almost exactly what Favre did.
Yeah.
Favre went to the Jets, then to the Vikings. Rodgers went to the Jets, and then would have come to the Vikings. It would have been the same path. And say what you want about Rodgers, but I watched enough last year. Is he the Rodgers of 2010? No. Probably not even the Rodgers of 2020. But he's pretty good.
He can still dissect the defense.
Yeah, he's not as
physically gifted.
As gifted as like even Stafford. You know, if you compare the two, one's 41, one's 37. Those are kind of your aging guys. And I guess Flacco you throw in there, and then of course Phil Rivers. But Rodgers still has enough cunning and guile where he could have. And
he just doesn't have the mobility.
He doesn't have the mobility. But that's what it says here. It says even this one team source brought up the saying, I'd still like to know who made that final decision not to sign Rodgers. I still don't know. What I do know is it affected a lot of livelihoods. So, yeah, Here's one more thing. It says, this was leading up to Kwesi's firing. It says, for weeks, executives and coaches inside the Vikings building and throughout the NFL had speculated Kwesi's job could be in jeopardy, even after he received an extension last offseason, and even though the Vikings produced a 43-25 record over his 4 years. While Kwesi had close relationships with many players and staffers, questions about his job status persisted for several reasons. Only 4 of Adolfo Mensa's 28 draft picks are surefire starters for the future. That's a paltry return. The team's 2025 quarterback plan following a 14-win season contributed to a playoffs-less finish. And at the same time, former quarterback Sam Darnold was leading the Seattle Seahawks to the big game. Adolfo Mensa's Wall Street trading background created skepticism among some football people inside and outside the organization that never completely faded. Tension had spilled over between Adolfo Mensa and key members of the coaching staff who questions his experience to do the job. And we'd heard rumors about that, Tennessee, that there were people butting heads, which is one of the why I tend to believe my source that tells me O'Connell wanted, if he was going to re-sign another contract, he wanted more say in personnel decisions. And that's where, now there was one other one, and I don't know, I saved this. Where was the heavy-handed? Oh, here it is. In the end, this is after the owner, after Mark and Zygmunt decided to let him go. In the end, the owners felt they needed someone who could lead with more experience and develop an accepted consensus among all of the critical key decision makers. The tasks included managing an occasionally heavy-handed coaching staff that has had major influence on significant personnel decisions, according to team sources. So again, this is why, and I wasn't, what did the kids say? That's not a hill I'm going to die on.
Yeah.
You know what they say? I stuck up for Kwesi just for the fact that it's the Chris Carter, everybody wants a fall guy. So it's convenient. Take the general manager without the experience, the guy who spent some time in the NFL prior to being with the Vikings, but he was a Wall Street commodities trader guy. And he took 2 weeks off to be with his child, his newborn, his wife and his newborn child. It's all his fault. If it wasn't for him, look at the draft. It's all his fault. If we get rid of Kwesi, all will be right with the world. I think that's what a lot of people think. Okay. I think it's more complicated than that because you just this paragraph alone, the tasks included managing an occasionally heavy-handed coaching staff that had major influence on significant personnel decisions, according to team sources. Now, you can say, I would rather have the coaching staff making those decisions, and I don't disagree with you. But my point is, it sounds to me that every draft pick and every free agent signing wasn't 100% Kwesi. That the coaching staff, front office, I don't know how many people, have you ever heard too many cooks spoil the broth? This seems like we had a whole restaurant.
And we might have that going forward still.
And we might have that going forward still, too.
I find the 2-week paternity leave smearing to be just kind of fascinating. Like, we never heard about that.
Right.
Once he's fired, now let's bring it out. When you don't even need to bring that up.
No.
To smear, like, pull that to the side and you say, hey, Kwesi was fired because he was terrible drafting players. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And then why would you just... When we never heard about it before, but then now that he's gone.
And that paragraph did say...
It's like they're trying to create this narrative around him.
Well, in this reporting, it did say that the Vikings signed off on that, too. So the Wilfs were not... The Wilfs didn't look at them and go, I guess, and that they were against that. I just don't see how anybody can be. To me, it's just preposterous. But, so my whole point in all this is, I think we can all agree Kwesi had to go. I mean, you look at, because technically the guy with the club making the final decisions on personnel is the general manager. But as I've been saying all along, I've said this for years, I don't believe the general manager just comes up to you and says, it's not like they're sitting there in the war room and all of a sudden, Rozelle goes up to the microphone and says, with the 13th pick in the National Football League draft, and then the coaches have the Vikings going, I don't wonder who we took. They know. They've talked about it. It's been discussed in meetings forever. Now, it may be where the general manager can pull rank, I'm sure, and he can go, I like what you guys have to say, but I'm taking our 12th pick, giving it to Detroit. We're dropping back to 30th, and I'm taking Louis Sean. Okay? Because he could, I guess, pull rank, right? If he is the general manager, he gets the final say.
I go back to when Jordan Addison was drafted. And, now they show like the videos of them, they're reacting after, and they got him mic'd up. And the conversation with KOC and Kwesi, to me, came across as KOC trying to convince Kwesi after the pick, hey, this guy's going to be good for us. That's the right pick. Like, he was trying to, it was almost like Kwesi wasn't sure about the pick.
Right.
Even though he made the pick.
Yeah.
But you knew that was KOC's pick.
And let's face it, too, it is an inexact science. We have seen you'll have from one of my favorite examples is Ryan Leaf. Was the number 1 pick overall, and I don't remember what year it was the draft. Was a can't-miss, surefire quarterback. He was a complete bust, all the way to the John Randalls of the world who weren't drafted by, not on anybody's radar as far as drafting. No one was going to use a draft pick on him, but yeah, bring him in, let's see what he's got, and he turns into a Hall of Fame football player, right? So general managers, NFL personnel evaluators, head coaches, coordinators, line coaches, special teams coaches, they all miss. They nail them too. They find guys and go, wow, what a great draft pick that was. Remember when Detroit got criticized for drafting Jahmyr Gibbs of the 12th pick overall? Oh, you can't draft a running back that high. That position's been devalued. What a mistake. They got skewered. The Holmes character, the general manager for the Lions, what do you think of his selection now? Now, he's missed other ones. He hasn't made everyone, but that's the thing. You're not going to hit them all. You just got to make sure you hit the majority of them, especially when you're drafting in those early rounds, those first, second, and thirds. You got to nail those. And if they don't have to be a superstar, but you have to get a guy that is going to be on your team for a good 5, depending if he stays healthy, 5, 8, 10 years and is a contributing player to the club. Good quality offensive lineman. Might not be the best, but when you look at those Pro Football Focus grades, he grades well. He's in that upper tier, that upper third of offensive linemen. He's healthy. He's able to play. That's what you have to do. And look at Sir Mark wasn't wrong. The old, we got to get this right. Remember when Taylor was saying that? Glenn Taylor said that a few years ago. We got to get this right. They have to get this right. If you look, there's another piece I'll bring up. I have it somewhere in there where we talk about the Vikings have the 4 players in all the times Odolfo Mensa's drafted. Green Bay's got like 18 guys on the roster. Detroit's got like 13 guys on the roster. Guys that were recently drafted in the last 3-4 years that are either starters, certainly depth pieces, or in some cases, they're Pro Bowlers. And, some are no-brainers. Now, let's see. I think we're going to draft Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, that makes sense. But
can I say something controversial here?
That's interesting.
Are KOC and B-Flow, are their offenses and defenses so complicated that it's hard for young players to come in and produce right away?
Well, that's another thing.
That's why they want to keep going out and getting veterans.
Yeah, could it
also be a development thing, too, on top of bad draft picks?
It could be. Certainly, there was another quote I have that and we'll get to it as well. O'Connell said this recently, talking about what's the most important thing in developing a team. You got to have depth, guys. And people have read that as basically saying, well, our general manager, not only has he missed on a lot of, players that have become, that are quality starters, that are there week in and week out, year after year, but we're not even getting any guys that you can plug in because they're not around long enough to even learn the system. So It's quite complicated, but they've got 8 draft picks minimum coming up here. They're going to have to shed some. We know I got another graph that says the Vikings are like second or third worst in salary cap situation.
Yes.
I mean, it's bad. So there's a lot to do. Let's take a break. We'll come back when we do. Tennessee, you got a little 5-3-4 for us?
Yeah. Could we see more damage from Darnold?